Okay, so it is Tuesday. We have a huge launch tomorrow. If you guys aren't registered, make sure you are. There's going to be a teaser at the very end. So don't miss the very end. And I know some people are saying they're out of power. They don't have power right now. So I hate that. But maybe there'll be a recording. I hope there will be. But there's something really cool at the end. We're going to spend the day today really working through some quick blitz items that I want you guys to wrap up. And then I want to do a little prep for March. But we get started with one of my very favorite people in the whole wide world. And let me tell you what makes someone my favorite person. They make you feel okay to just be you. Do you have anybody like that in your life? If you don't have someone like that, get one, because there are people that you're around and you notice like you're sucking in, or you're like eating it with a knife and you never use a knife. But then there's the people that's just like having a good time, and that's Tamara Holloway. So Tamara, I'm going to mute myself. And basically what we do when we start is I just want to get everyone inspired. So then when we go and work, it's not kind of like, oh, I have to work. It's like, ooh, I get to work. That's what I'm trying to do.
Love it. Love it. Well, hey, everybody. I'm so excited to spend a few minutes with you guys. Great introduction by Jen Lee. And I feel the same way about her. There are very few people in life that you feel like you can let your hair down and be completely yourself and feel safe being you. And so I completely agree with her. If you don't have those people in your circle, find them. Okay. So first of all, so proud of y'all for being on here. A lot of times late afternoons are difficult for most people. Lots of us are having crazy weather. We literally have, I think, 5 inches of snow right now, and we're supposed to get another 6 to 8 over the next couple of days. So yeah, it's been a fun, wild ride the past couple of days. So as I was thinking through all the different things that I could share with you all on this power hour today, I couldn't quite land on something. So to help me narrow it down, I just asked myself, Tamara, what has been something that has just made like a tremendous impact on my own personal business over the past several years? And several things came to mind, right? Because it takes lots of different things in this business to be successful. But the one that really jumped out at me, especially thinking about doing a power hour, is a skill that didn't necessarily come naturally to me, you guys, but has grown into a strength of mine over the past several years. And that is, that's being intentional in your follow-ups. I love the word intentional. 20 to 30 minutes a day of intentional conversations with your potentials. That is one of the most important things that you can ever do for your business. It's so motivating to me when you realize that the conversations that you're having today are not about today's responses. Today's conversations are about they're planting seeds, deepening connections, opening doors, building trust, dripping belief, and inviting them again, or maybe for the first time, to experience plexus. Today's responses should be coming from the intentional connections, the intentional conversations that you have been having over the last week, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, maybe even way, way longer than that. You might be surprised, honestly, to hear how many people have joined my team as level ones 6 months, you guys, up to 4 years after I initially approached them about plexus. Very few people. In fact, I can maybe think of one in my 7 years have joined me on the first conversation. It takes that consistent follow-up. You guys, I even had a girl who rejected my samples back when I was a gold ambassador. Okay, that tells you how long ago this has been. I've been a diamond for over 5 years. She finally joined me 4 years later after throwing those samples in the trash, and she went diamond this past year in 2020. That was over 4 years of, like I said, dripping belief, building trust with intentional connection. Follow-up. We've heard about follow-up. If you've been in this business for any amount of time, you have heard about the importance of follow-up. I would go as far as to say that it's crucial to your success. Like I said, most people don't say yes to trying plexus after that first conversation. It can take 7 times, 8 times, 10 times of exposure to it. So that means we have the power to create massive change in countless lives if we become what I like to call a professional follower-upper. So I'm going to give you just a handful of quick follow-up tips. I wish I had time to go in massive detail on each of these, but I'm just going to give you some bullet points of things that I believe are truly important in your follow-up. First is not to be attached to the immediate result. If your emotions are so tied up in that initial response, you will be discouraged. Very possibly be discouraged. You may even be scared or hesitant to continue following up, to continue to pursue that relationship. 2, listen more and talk less. This was one thing I definitely had to learn over the past few years. The more questions that you ask, the more likely you're going to find out what their true needs are and how you can then come in and show them how Plexus can help meet those needs. Next, leave every conversation that you have setting the expectation of when you will contact them next. Okay. So I want you to take this phrase out of your follow-up vocabulary. Let me know if you have any questions. This was a phrase that I used to use a lot. And I still see it often when I'm looking at various team members with their reach out messages or their follow-ups. Maybe they're stuck. And so they'll send me some examples of how they've been reaching out or following up. And that is a common phrase I see. Let me know if you have any questions. So instead of sitting back, right, and hoping they have a question for us so that we can continue that conversation, let's instead take control. Let's set the expectation and we lead the conversation like a professional. So an example might be, Jen, I cannot wait for you to watch that video I just sent you while your kiddos are napping today. I'll touch base tonight, maybe after dinner, and see what jumped out at you. Or maybe, hey, I'm headed out to dinner, but I can't wait to hear what you thought of that testimony I just sent over. As soon as I read it, I thought of you. So here's the deal. I'll check in with you tomorrow morning and see what your thoughts are. Have a great night. I do this one simple thing without fail. Anytime I follow up, rather than wondering, oh gosh, am I coming across like annoying? Am I following up too quickly? Am I being too persistent? No, I feel confident that I have set that expectation that they know I'm coming back to check on them. Okay, so that's an important one. Here's another big one. What you truly believe in your mind about reaching out or about following up or making those connections, that will come across in your messaging. So I want you to divorce yourself from feeling apologetic. Your emotions are contagious. If you believe that you're bothering someone by reaching out to them, if they don't want, you believe they don't really want to hear for you, they're going to sense that. I can just about promise you that. So ask yourself, make this a practice. Ask yourself, why am I following up? Tamara, why am I following up? Maybe it's because you want to help your friend. Maybe it's because you truly care about their future. Maybe it's because you know they have an illness or a complication in their life that you know Plexus can help with. Maybe because you know that they're under a lot of financial stress. Maybe it's because you know what you have to offer is really valuable, because it is, right? And if they jumped in, that could change everything for them. Your posture in follow-up, it needs to be confident because you do know and you do believe that what you are offering holds tremendous worth for those who jump in and take that chance. Their testimony is dependent on your follow-up. I'm going to say that again. Their testimony is dependent on your follow-up. How is that for convicting? I'm telling you what, that convicts me. It changes my mindset about what I'm doing when I'm reaching out to these people. Okay, last quick tip, and I'm going to let y'all jump into your power hour. This one really applies to every actionable thing in our business, including follow-up, and that is motivation versus discipline. Okay, so a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, she may even be on here. She challenged me to do 21 days of working out in February. There's only 28 days in February, so I'm thinking 7 days of rest time. That's not a lot. I haven't worked out in years, okay? I've been wanting to get back into it for a long time, but I have not been motivated. Guess what? I'm not motivated now. I've done 10 of the 21 days. I've got 14 more days to go. I'm going to have to get going here. I have never once been motivated to do that workout. None of the 10 times. In fact, I'm almost angry while I'm doing them. So here's my point. When you don't feel like doing something, when you aren't motivated to work your business, when you're not motivated to eat healthy, when you're not motivated to follow up, when you're not motivated to reach out, when you're not motivated to listen to a training or jump on this power hour, that is where self-discipline kicks in. And self-discipline is so, so important to the success in anything in life, right? But we're talking about business right now. You will not be motivated every day. I can guarantee you that. But when that self-discipline kicks in, your thought process is, I don't care if I don't feel like reaching out to the 10 people I committed to reach out to this week. I know that I need to do it because I have goals and I've got some big dreams, and I know I'm not going to reach those unless I do the things that I know I need to do, regardless of how I feel about it. So that's just my quick little preaching at you for a minute. Self-discipline is so crucial. Don't allow your actions to be led by your motivation to do something or not do something. Let your self-discipline on what you know you need to do lead the way for you.
You know how sometimes like there's a word that you hear and you're like, you don't know if think it's so great because you like particularly needed to hear it, or if it's just like everybody needed to hear it. But for me, like doing these power hours, I was like, ew, no, please don't make me have to do something regularly. Like I get to choose if I do them or not.
Sure.
It completely changed everything for me because it's self-discipline.
Yeah. It's also being intentional too. Like you're choosing in your self-discipline to be intentional with your business.
So good. And I wrote down a couple of things. I just wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So when you follow up, are you relying on just like your memory? Like, oh, I need to follow up with so-and-so. Like, what are you doing to actually remember?
Okay. So I've tried many different methods. My first method 7 years ago was trying to remember. And literally like scrolling through my inbox going, now who haven't I talked to in, a few weeks? Oh my gosh, that did not work. I lost so many potentials that way who either weren't interested anymore, I took too long, or they ended up ordering from someone else. So now I actually, pen and paper is what has worked best for me. I have my Plexus notebook that is for 2 things. It is follow-ups and reach outs and customer care. So 3 things really. So my people who are already customers and my follow-up to them too. So I literally have their names written down, when I first reached out to them. And then I put it in my calendar, you guys, to reach out to them. When, like I said, when I set the expectation, when I tell them I'm going to, usually I can remember that one off the top of my head. But then of course, if they don't order, I'm going to try again in 5 to 7 days. I'm going to continue to go back to them in 3 to 5 to 7 days, depending on the conversation, or if there's some sort of special that Plexus puts out. I could have talked to him yesterday, but if Plexus announces a special or I decide to throw one myself, you better bet I'm going right back to them and saying, hey, I know we just talked yesterday and you weren't ready to order, but oh my goodness, surprise special just dropped and they're doing X, Y, and Z. I thought this might be the perfect time. Let's chat some more, right? Not, do you have any questions, but let's chat some more about this. So Jen, did that answer your question? It's nothing rocket science. It's literally pen and paper, because that is just how I have found that it just works best for me.
Well, that is rocket science for me, because I'm trying to remember.
No, girl, my memory will always fail me. Always, always, always. And I look at that notebook, every day. And so I'm constantly have my nose in it, and I'm making notes about things too. Because sometimes, conversations can get long. And if I just need to remember something, like, okay, I sent them the triplex video, or I sent them that testimony about diabetes, or whatever it is, I'm just jotting like a quick note there too, so I'm not being repetitive. And of course, when I open their message, I'll kind of scroll up and make sure that I'm kind of on par with where I left the conversation off.
Well, you are truly fantastic, seriously. And I think Plexus attracts the best of the best, and every time we do this, I'm like, dang, we've got the best people ever, and you were just one of them. Thank you so much. That was so good. I'm feeling very challenged to be
good.
more.
I'm just thanks for asking me, and I hope you guys have the best power hour. I see a couple, actually a few familiar faces I'm excited to see. So yeah,
thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Bye guys.
Okay, that was really good for me. And I feel like lately, guys, in particular, I've been being reminded it's great to be passionate. It's great to be excited. It's great to be creative, but it's also great to be organized. It's also great to be disciplined. And those are things I'm stretching myself in. So I don't know what you're stretching yourself in, but that was like she was speaking right to me. That was the best. So we always start this off by doing our CEO moment. It's a little different because it's 4 p.m. But I like for everybody to go and write down. So I have a Plexus notebook and it's kind of everything. It's got all of my notes from all the calls, anytime that I'm looking up ingredients for a product. So it's kind of a hodgepodge. But every time I do my notes, I write down what my PV is for that day, how many new joins I have. And I don't care if you even have to write down 0. Vision cast with that for yourself. Say, it's going to be so cool when there's a 1 in front of that 0 and 10 whole people join my team. And then write down how many points that you have. So go ahead and do that really quick. It won't take you but 30 seconds to go look it up, write it down, and keep track of it. Okay, so last night we did a business training. Every Monday night we've been doing them at 8. And we did how to have a career mindset and then how to grow in leadership. And one of my sweet friends who I honestly for a while thought, is she ever going to do this? Like, is she ever going to make this happen? She just completely went through this evolution. And she said the first thing she did when she grew in her leadership was, who do I want my people to say that I am? Who do I want them to say I am as a leader? And she wrote down the words that she wanted to be. And all that sticks out in my mind is she said dependable. So I'm going to challenge you right now, even if you're silver and you just have 3 people, if someone were to say that my friend Christy or my friend Greta, she's my leader in Plexus and she is, and they named 3 things. Write those 3 words down wherever you need to. If you have your notebook, if you want to put it in the notes on your phone, think of those 3 words and also put them in the chat because I want to see them. So it's going to take 2 minutes because it's going to be the first gut reaction that you have. Okay, these are really good. And I just want to challenge some of you on a couple things. First of all, dependable. Charles Robinson's #1 leadership rule is do what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to send a sample, send it. If you say you're going to message. And I constantly walked around with like a dagger because I was like, oh, I was always like, oh, I forgot. Like I couldn't keep up because I let the label that I put on myself of being a crazy, spontaneous, hot mess actually become my actual personality. And that's not true. I can be whatever I want to be. So remember that. But the challenge I want to have for you guys is a lot of you said knowledgeable. And I think that's great. I think it's good to know the comp plan. I think it's good to invest time understanding the products. But guess what? You're not going to know everything. You can find the answers, but guess what else? They can find the answers too. So sometimes knowing everything, I could show you a lot of people that know a lot of things and they ain't moving up. And there's reason for that. It's not just the head. Okay. So it's also the heart. Being empowering. That to me is probably the best thing you could do is you're mining that whatever's in that person and pulling it out of them. You're believing in them. So just think on that for me. All right. The next thing you're going to do is just go into your back office. You're going to filter by join date and you're looking for people that have a Plexiversary in February. And you're just going to message them and say, this is the month that you joined last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I just want you to know it means a lot to me that you trusted your friend. It could be your 2 or your 3, or it means a lot to me that you trusted me. But I just love that you love Plexus. And I wanted to say happy Plexiversary or whatever you feel like doesn't make you sound like a complete lunatic. So we're going to go to Plexiversaries right now.